Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I'm back with another Bible study. We're going to be getting back into Exodus today. There's been a slight hold put on it because I had some things to learn. And we will be firmly into the land of speculation today. If you're not comfortable with that, you will be more comfortable somewhere else. If you are unfamiliar with what we are doing here in Exodus, in this Bible study, you should definitely start up here at the top. I would suggest starting in Genesis. I hold some rather unconventional beliefs, and I would hate for you to get your feelings hurt. With that being said, we will be getting into Exodus 24 briefly. We will be getting into 25 and hopefully 26 today. We're going to go through 24 real quick because we left off in 23. The covenant sealed. I have made most of my arguments about this already in previous ones, so in the sake of brevity, I will say this. If there is a blood sacrifice required, you're dealing with the wrong entities. And then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of Israel's elders, and you are to worship at a distance. Moses alone shall approach the Lord, but the others must not come near, and the people may not go up with him." And when Moses came and told the people all the words and ordinances of the Lord, they all responded with one voice, "All the words that the Lord has spoken, we will do." And Moses wrote down all the words of the Lord. All right, he wrote down all the words of the Lord right here. And then early the next morning, he got up and built an altar at the base of the mountain, along with the 12 pillars for the 12 tribes of Israel. And then he sent out some of the young men from Israel, and they offered burnt offerings and sacrificed young bulls as peace offerings to the Lord. Moses took half of the blood and put it in bowls, and the other half he sprinkled on the altar. And then he took the book of the covenant and read it to the people, who replied, "All that the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient." The book of the covenant right here. This is all the laws written in the book of the covenant right here at the base of the mountain. And it is sealed in blood. They put half the blood on the altar. So Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, "This is the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you, in accordance with all these words." I have made my arguments. And then Moses went up with Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. And they saw the God of Israel. Under his feet was a work like a pavement made of sapphire, as clear as the sky itself. But God did not lay his hand on the nobles of Israel. They saw him, and they ate and drank. And then the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and stay here, so that I may give you the tablets of stone with the law and commandments I have written for their instruction." Okay, so he needs to make it permanent. He just signed the covenant, right? The covenant was just signed and sealed in blood. It was the book of the covenant right there. Now we've got to go get the laws. Okay. So Moses set out with Joshua his attendant and went up the mountain of God. And he said to the elders, "Wait here for us until we return to you. Aaron and Hur are here with you. Whoever has a dispute can go to them." And when Moses went up on the mountain, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. And for 6 days the cloud covered it, and on the 7th day the Lord called to Moses from within the cloud. And the sight of the glory of the Lord was like a consuming fire on the mountaintop in the eyes of the Israelites. And Moses entered the cloud as he went up on the mountain, and remained on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Okay. Briefly. So we had the book of the covenant where all of the agreements were done. It was sealed in blood, and then we went up for the tablets, right? The stone tablets with the laws and commandments. That is generally accepted, that he went up there and he came down with the 10 commandments etched in stone. The timing of that is just completely off. This seems to be more of a come up here. Now that you have sealed this covenant, come up here and we will set it in stone. All right. Now, we're going to read through 25, and then we're going to get firmly into the land of speculation. And so prepare yourselves for that. And then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites," wait, before we get into 25, let's hop back into 20 real quick. We're going to look at idolatry forbidden. This was the very end of Exodus 20. And then the Lord has said to Moses, "This is what you are to tell the Israelites. You have seen for yourselves that I have spoken to you from heaven. You are not to take any gods alongside of me, and you are not to make for yourselves gods of silver or gold. You are to make for me an altar of earth, and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and peace offerings, your sheep and goats and cattle. In every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I will come to you and bless you. Now, if you make an altar of stones for me, you must not build it with stones shaped by tools. For if you use a chisel on it, you will defile it. And you must not go up to my altar on steps, lest your nakedness be exposed on it. Let's sit on that for 1 second. And then we're going to get into Exodus 25. The offerings for the tabernacle. Okay, when Israel fled Egypt, they did so with a lot of material wealth, right? We covered that when we dealt with that. And so now the Lord says to Moses, tell the Israelites to bring me an offering. You are to receive my offering from every man whose heart compels him. This is the offering you are to accept from them: gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, fine linen and goat hair, ram skins dyed red, and fine leather, acacia wood, olive oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incense, and onyx stones and gemstones to be mounted on the ephod and breastpiece. We'll get back to the ephod and breastpiece. I don't know if that's going to be today or not. And they are to make a sanctuary for me so that I may dwell among them. You must make the tabernacle and design all its furnishings according to the pattern I show you. So Moses goes up prior to, the Lord descends upon the mountain for 6 days, and then on the 7th day calls Moses up. And then Moses is gone for 40 days and 40 nights. There is a significance to 7, that is creation, that is a completion, that is the start and just to the end of an octave, right before the beginning of the new octave. So 7 is an important number. 40 as well is an important number. It represents a lot of things, but generally speaking, it represents a new level of knowledge, a new attainment of discipline. So he goes up for 40 days, and then he has a vision, right, where he is shown a pattern to make all of these things. What he comes down with, yes, it is the stone tablets, but it is also this entire list of how to very precisely create something. It is very detailed. It contains a lot of things that they would not necessarily have thought about. We will get into that. And so, the ephod and the breastplate. And they are to make a sanctuary for me so that I may dwell among them. There's a reason I brought you back to 20, because the earth, right, you're supposed to make an altar of earth, and if you use stones, it is not to be cut, because wherever you are, he is there also, out in the world. Okay, you must make the tabernacle and design all its furnishings according to the pattern I show you. There is a pattern, the spiral of life, the Fibonacci sequence that contains knowledge. There is knowledge within just knowing the sequence. The Ark of the Covenant. And they are to construct an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. I'm not going to get into the technical, how big was it? It was roughly this, I think it's 6 foot or 5 foot, something like that. It doesn't even matter. It's heavy. It takes 2 people to carry it. And these are the dimensions. They have to be these dimensions for a specific reason. Overlay it with pure gold, both inside and out, and make a golden molding around it. Wood is an insulator. Gold is not. Gold is a conductor. And so you have a wooden frame overlaid in gold. You have conductivity. You also have, I can't remember if it's the resistor. It's a capacitor, right? With conduct, organic non-conductive, and a non-organic conductive, right? And so you have static discharge available. If it's not connected to an outside circuit, which it will be. And then cast 4 gold rings for it and fasten them to its 4 feet. 2 rings on one side and 2 on the other, and make poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold. And insert the poles into the rings on the side of the ark in order to carry it. The poles are to remain in the rings of the ark. They must not be removed because it is important when gathering the electricity. And place the ark. That's where this whole thing is going. This is a capacitor. And there is a discharge method that we are going to get into that is purely conspiracy. All right. And so insert the poles into the rings in the side of the ark. The poles are to remain in the ark, right? The whole design has to be complete just as it is very specifically given down. That is why it was written in stone. So they can't make no mistakes. Like, they didn't get the law here. They got the testimony. The testimony is like the technical manual for building this. This is what he got in stone. And so next we are in and place inside the ark the testimony which I will give to you. Okay, so no, I am wrong. It is not the testimony. The testimony is coming. I have a different opinion on what the testimony is. The covenant, or the covenant was the book, right? They did that before he went up the mountain. They come down the mountain with the stone tablets. The stone tablets contain these technical writings. This is how you build it. It must be done to these specifications. And inside of it, they place something. The testimony. It is not the covenant. Right? They call it the Ark of the Covenant because when they made the covenant, they got the Ark, which is a weapon and a communication device. And inside the Ark, place inside the Ark the testimony, which I will give to you. You are to construct a mercy seat. Now, I did a word study on the mercy seat. I'm not going to bring you through it. It means a lid of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. Make 2 cherubim of hammered gold at the ends of the mercy seat. Wait, hold up. Something about, okay. Maybe they're not worshiping the cherubim. It's placed on their box of worship that they go and pray to, but maybe they're not worshiping the cherubim. And so you make 2 cherubim of hammered gold at the ends of the mercy seat. So on the ends of the lid, you have these statues of gold that are angels with their wings outspread like this, covering the lid, facing lengthways, facing each other. And so they create kind of a hole in the middle above the top. Okay? Hammered gold at the ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherub on one end and 1 on the other. All made from 1 piece of gold. So a solid piece of gold. So it's non-interrupted conductivity on this lid and the gold angels or cherubim. And the cherubim have the wings that spread upward, overshadowing the mercy seat. That's what I was saying about like creating a hole right there. And so the cherubim are to face each other, looking towards the mercy seat. They're on the opposite ends on the long side of the box. And I will meet with you there above the mercy seat, between the 2 cherubim that are over the Ark of the Testimony. I will speak to you about all that I command you regarding the Israelites. So it is a communication device over a distance using electric discharge. That is not that far-fetched. Now, the technology is unfamiliar. I don't know how to build this to make it do that, but it is not unfamiliar. You can use catalysts. We'll call it a catalyst for the moment. We will get to the catalyst in a minute, but well, it's a crystal, right? You can use a piezoelectric diode to create a radio frequency that can communicate over distances using electricity. That is not beyond the scope of possibility. So maybe there's a crystal that they put inside of this. Okay, that is pure speculation on my part. I think that the testimony is a crystal. I'll get more into that in a minute. Now, the table of showbread. This is some of the accoutrements that are inside for the various religious ceremonies. Like they have bread that is available for the priests, and this is where they set the bread upon. It's the table for the showbread. You are also to make a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, a cubit wide, and a cubit and a half high. Overlay it with pure gold, make a gold molding around it, and make a rim around it a hand's breadth wide. Put a gold molding on the rim. Make 4 gold rings for the table, and fasten them to the 4 corners, that is 4 legs. The rings are to be close to the rim to serve as holders for the poles used to carry the table. Make the poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold, so that the table may be carried with them. You are also to make the plates and dishes, as well as the pitchers and bowls, for pouring drink offerings, and make them out of pure gold. And place the bread of the presence on the table before me at all times. I did a word study on that. I'm not going to bring you through the whole word study. We did that, so you can go back and do that. I showed you how to do that back in Genesis. But basically, it's just the bread for the priest, as far as I can understand. There's no particular significance that I can pick out of that from the Bible. It's just one of those things that they kept available. The lampstands. You are to make a lampstand of pure hammered gold. It shall be one piece, including its base and shaft, its cups, and its buds and petals. This is where the pattern comes in. 6 branches are extend from the sides of the lampstand, 3 on one side, 3 on the other, and there be 3 cups shaped like almond blossoms on the first branch, each with buds and petals. 3 on the next branch, and the same for all 6 branches that extend from the lampstand. And on the lampstand there shall be 4 cups shaped like almond blossoms, with buds and petals. And for the 6 branches that extend from the lampstand, a bud must be under the first pair of branches, a bud under the second pair, and a bud under the third pair. The buds and branches are to be one piece with the lampstand, hammered out of pure gold. Make 7 lamps and set them up on the lampstand so they illuminate the area in front of it. The wick trimmers and their trays must be of pure gold, and the lampstands and all these utensils are made from a talent of pure gold. A talent is a measure. And see to it that they make everything according to the pattern shown to you on the mountain. Now, if you have ever had a religious experience, you know the pattern that they're talking about. You can see it. It is the psychedelic pattern that you see when they do psychedelics. It really does break down into the flower of life around you. And so what he is building is a representation of the growth of the flower of life in a candle stand. It is distributed in 7 places, right? That is significant, the number 7. And it is part of the collection service for the discharge. All right, I'm going to try to get through 26. Let me take a sip real quick, because this is important for the next part too. The 10 curtains of the tabernacle. And you are to construct the tabernacle itself with 10 curtains of finely spun linen, each with blue, purple, and scarlet. The color doesn't matter. And cherubim skillfully worked into them. Oh, really? Again with the cherubim. Okay. And each curtain shall be 28 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. All curtains the same size. Again, we're not going to get into that. This is the tent that goes around, and you have plenty of room to stay well clear of the ark in the middle of this. 5 of the curtains are to be joined together, and the other 5 joined as well. Make loops of blue material on the edge of the end curtain in the first set, and do the same for the end curtain in the second set. Make 50 loops in one curtain and 50 loops on the end curtain of the second set, so that the loops line up opposite one another, and make 50 gold clasps as well, and join the curtains together with the clasps, so that the tabernacle will be a unit. All right, so finely spun linen. Okay, the next we get into the curtains of gold here, which goes beside that. And when you rub the two together, it creates static discharge, right? When you drag your feet on the carpet with your socks on and you touch the door handle, same concept. That is the exact same thing that is happening between the linen and the goat hair. Every time you see gold here, it is conducting. It is carrying electricity to a capacitor, the arc, which is then able to be used through piezoelectrics. I believe, without any solidly biblical evidence, that what was inside of there was a specifically shaped green diamond. I will get into why, but I believe that's what that was. Okay, and so you were to make curtains of goat hair for the tent over the tabernacle, 11 curtains in all. Each of the 11 curtains will be the same size, 30 cubits long and 4 wide. Join 5 of the curtains into one set and 6 into another, and then fold the 6th curtain over double at the front of the tent. Make 50 loops along the edge of the curtain in the first set, 50 loops along the edge of the corresponding curtain in the second set. Make 50 bronze clasps and put them through the loops to join the tent together as a unit. As for the overlap that remains in the tent curtains, the half curtain that is left over shall hang down over the back of the tabernacle. And the tent curtains will be a cubit longer on either side, and the excess will hang down over the sides of the tabernacle to cover it. Also, make a covering for the tent out of ram skins dyed red, and that of a covering of fine leather. So, we have the 2 cloths creating static, and a protective layer of leather to insulate it. And that's dyed red. That's going to be protecting people from collecting the static discharge that is created between the friction, right? The specific way that they're to layer it, and that is to maximize the current distribution. I'm not an electrician, right? I have a very basic knowledge of electricity. I know that the ground is like the ground for everything in the world. Your house does not connect back to the net, right? And so I think that this is a way to make a floor that is a conductor that will power the capacitor. You are to construct upright frames of acacia wood for the tabernacle. Each frame is to be 10 cubits long and a cubit and a half wide. 2 tenons must be connected to each frame. Make the frames of the tabernacle in this way. Construct the 20 frames for the south side with 40 silver bases under the 20 frames. 2 bases for each frame and 1 under each tenon. For the second side of the tabernacle, the north side, make 20 and 40 silver bases, 2 bases under each frame. Make 6 frames for the rear and west side and 2 frames for the back corners of the tabernacle. Coupled together from bottom to top and fitted into a single ring. These will serve as the 2 corners, and there will be 8 frames and 16 silver bases, 2 under each frame. You are to make 5 crossbars of acacia wood for the frames on one side of the tabernacle, and 5 for the other side, and 5 for the rear side to the west. The central crossbar in the middle of the frame shall extend from one end to the other. Overlay the frames with gold, and make gold rings to hold the crossbars. Also, overlay the crossbars with gold. You were to set up the tabernacle according to the pattern shown you on the mountain. And then finally the veil. Make a veil of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely spun linen with cherubim skillfully worked into it. There's them cherubim again. Hang it with gold hooks on 4 posts of acacia wood, overlaid with gold, and stands on 4 silver bases. And hang the veil from the clasp and place the ark of the testimony behind the veil. So the veil will separate the holy place from the most holy place. Put the mercy seat on the ark of the testimony in the most holy place, and place the table outside the veil on the north side of the tabernacle, and put the lampstand on the opposite side, put the lampstand opposite the table on the south side. Sorry, it just would not work for me for a second. The curtain for the entrance of the curtain, you are to make a curtain embroidered with blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and finely spun linen, and make 5 posts of acacia wood for curtain, overlay them with gold hooks, and cast 5 bronze bases for them. Okay. Now, what we have seen described here, in my opinion, is the creation of a capacitor. Right? You have electrical conductivity available from the static electricity created as long as you have a place to store it. The ark, in my opinion, is the place to store it. But what you don't have then is a place to get rid of it. And for that, we are going to have to get walking in the wild side. Solomon supposedly had a thing called the shamir. The shamir was a tiny thing. It could shape stone like it was clay. It could cut into metal and engrave metal without leaving distortions or very fine cuts. You see the T cuts that we have in South America, and the masonry that we really can't explain now can be explained using the shamir. It cuts very finely in a very good way. There's a whole lot of things that can be brought into that. If you want to check that out, check out the Snake Brothers podcast. They get into that deeply. I wanted to look into the shamir because of this, because in the Talmud, it talks about Solomon was eager to possess the shamir, and he sent people out to look for it, and they found this little tiny 1/3 of an inch piece of it that could do the entire temple before it was used up. And that's basically it. Now, when it looked at what you were intending it to look at, it shaped it. Now, according to the architect's plan. I have gotten into detail in my video on crystals about how piezoelectric crystals work through the use of some old school videos, and then I talk about my theories on the crystal formations and how the different formations affect them in different ways. One of the unconventional beliefs I hold is that you can hold a stone and you can make it fluctuate according to your own magnetic vibrations. I cannot do anything nearly at a scope that is like this, but I can hold a piece of rose quartz and I can feel it change through the energy that I invest in it. I believe that. You don't have to. I believe that because that is real, that is just a function of piezoelectrics. I believe we're all magnetics, and that we're just magnetically influencing through conscious will. I believe that the shamir was that. And so I looked and I was like, there's a legend of Moses coming down the mountain and he had green stones. There's a legend of the Solomon having the shamir, and it's a little tiny green thing that can shape the stone through intentions. I think they're the same thing. I think at the time of Moses, when he had the 40 days on top of the mountain, what he was given, the testimony that he was given was actually a green diamond, shaped, purposefully made in the manner that it needed to be. And why do I say green diamonds? Because it is one of the rarest forms of diamonds, and the reason it is rare is because of the natural green color developed that color while they were underground. They contain small amounts of radioactive materials such as uranium and thorium. So now we have piezoelectrics manipulating uranium and thorium. This arc is legendary for destroying things, right? Anything in its path that it is unleashed upon, it can destroy. I think that that's what this is. I'm not saying firmly. I believe that what happened is as it gets heated to extreme degrees, the outside of it will oxidize and it has to be repolished. And I think over time, what happened was it got polished down to where when Solomon got it, it was only a little tiny piece left. And by that point, it was no longer really a weapon. And so instead of getting rid of this big gold box that nobody really knew the workings of except the Levi priests, they just got rid of the little tiny piece. And what they did was they threw it in a well, because the water would be able to contain what was there. I think that Solomon, being privy to the knowledge of a lot of things, knew about this and sent people specifically to look in wells. And over the years, the story has distorted, but I believe that the shamir is actually what is inside the Ark of the Covenant. It is the means by which the piezoelectric communication device works and the discharge of the static electricity as a weapon. We're not going to get into the robes of the priest today. That will be in the next one. We're not going to get into the other mechanics of the ark and the different things. We will, though. That's where we're going. I had to learn a little bit more before I could really dive into this. We had to dig into the Shamir. I had to dig into those different things, and this is mainly speculation. I freely admit that, but I do believe that this is true. Like I do, I believe that I am supported both biblically and extra biblically in my beliefs of this. We will get more into that as we go farther through the book, but base work, Ark of the Covenant is here. This is going to be the Ark of the Covenant video, right? And so that is my beliefs. I believe a completely controversial thing. Imagine that. And my completely controversial thing is that it was not the tablets that were inside the box. It was not the Book of the Covenant, which was signed and sealed in blood prior to Moses going up the mountain. This was what he came down the mountain with, which was the green stone, which went inside the box. That is what I believe. You're free to not believe that. Hopefully I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a very complicated topic. I am never trying to mislead anybody. I'm never trying to do anything other than just read the book, unless I am telling you that I am speculating. I try to be very clear when I get off the rails. I am off the rails with this one. This is something that I cannot technically support inside the Bible. I can't do it. Outside of the Bible, I can bring in extra biblical sources. There are references to this in the Talmud. There are references to similar things outside in other books. But inside the Bible itself, I can't do it that way. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pittstake. Peace.